dugsiga boardingka iyo maalinlaha ah ee Amano Boarding and Day School.
Good morning, class. Welcome to our online classes. I'm Teacher David. Today, I want us to learn about speaking and listening, and the topic is effective face-to-face communication. So maybe you're at home, and at this time of the pandemic, you've been talking to friends face-to-face, maybe, or sometimes you're using an interface like over Zoom or other platforms like Skype. But have you ever stopped and asked yourself, how can you make your conversation appealing and achieving the purpose to which it is meant to be? So today I want to take you through what you can do to achieve the effective communication. So here, our objective of the lesson is, first, by the end of this particular video, I want you to participate effectively in face-to-face communication by employing appropriate discussion skills. So I want you to look at this picture here. Okay, you can see this is what happens now around the world, people connecting with each other. So let's look at how can we do this to make it good. So when we talk about effective communication, it means thinking about the purpose. Why do you want to communicate? And so the audience and the purpose. Okay, generally it means that you are supposed to use standard English. Then be in a position to listen carefully to the people you're talking to. And you have to also be polite and cooperative. So let's see, how do we do this? Okay? So let's define what purpose and audience is. So to help you, audience is the person you're talking to, and the purpose is what you want to achieve in the communication. So to help you, you need to decide this the style that you're going to use in your speaking. So selecting a suitable style will make you achieve the purpose. Okay, now you need to ask yourself this: who am I speaking to? And why are you speaking to them? For what purpose? For what reason are you speaking to them? Then you can see the right style to choose. Let's take for an example. Okay, I want you to look at this example here. In a conversation with friends, you're likely to use different styles, okay, that will be much more different from that particular style used when you're talking to an unfamiliar audience. You see there? So that is what I want you to do. The way you're going to talk to your friend, family members, is quite different from the way you're going to have a discussion with people who are unknown to you. Okay? So let's move and see. Okay, so ask yourself the following questions when preparing to speak. So the most important thing is that you need to prepare in advance when you're going to a discussion, a conversation with friends, or online chat with friends. But so you have to know, who are they? Then, how old are your audience? Are they teens like you? Are they elderly people? Are they kids? So you have to understand that too. Then you ask yourself this: what matters to them? What do they want to get from the conversation that you're having with them? So that's something that you have to know. Okay? Then what do you want them to feel? So this will guide you on the tone that you're going to use in your speech. Okay? And then why should they listen to you? every communication, for it to be successful, the recipient must be in a position willing to understand or listen to you. If they don't, then you won't achieve the mission of that particular communication. So let's move forward and see. Okay, I want you, after asking yourself those particular questions, then you have to focus on the best way to do the presentation. So I want to bring a picture here of a familiar face. Okay, this is Malala, a Pakistani activist who has appeared in most shows around the world. But I'm interested in the way she always speaks. Very interesting and convincing way. So that's what you have to look at. So how are you going to do? How are you going to do your speech such that you achieve the purpose? It should be interesting and convincing. Okay. So you have to be clear to your purpose. Be clear to your purpose. That's what you have to look at. Be clear to your purpose. Okay? Then also think about the aim. What does this communication want to achieve? What do you want to achieve with it? So do you want to persuade your audience to do something? For example, in school setting, do you want to convince students to stop dropping litter in the compound? Do you want them to stop making noise in class? Do you want them to be respectful to their colleagues and maybe parents? So ask yourself that. So find a way that you're going to use to convince the listeners that your point of view is fair, right? Then two, if you want to entertain them, then you also need to know that, so that you know the right words that you're going to choose. Okay? Then if you want to share information, or some information, for example, in this particular period of pandemic about COVID-19, then how are you going to put that on? Are you going to scare them away so that they don't listen to you? So you have to find a way to putting that. Then what about instructions? You want to give a report, or you want to advise or explain something. So these are some of the aims that you have to identify before you go into a speaking which involve face-to-face communication. Okay, let's move forward. So it's a good idea to prepare notes in advance. If this is your first time, I would recommend that you prepare your notes in advance. Okay, prepare notes in advance for a formal speaking. Casual speaking, you don't need to prepare, but you must also have that particular confidence through practice, and that's what I want you to do exactly when you're at home. Okay, so let's move forward and see. Okay, so these are some of the skills that I've selected, discussion skills that you have to put in practice in order to achieve effective face-to-face communication. Okay, now you should aim to interact and respond to what other people are saying. So how are you going to do this? You have to show them that you are listening, okay, by making an eye contact. You have to make eye contact with the speaker and respond to what they say. Then two, use the body language. When I'm teaching this particular lesson, you can see students that I try to bring the use of body language to drive the points home. Okay? Then also build on what other people have said. So if you're in a discussion, your friend, for example, Hamid has said a point, can you build on that? So ask yourself if you can do that. Then also challenging points to be made by others. You have to challenge. Don't be a yes person accepting everything. In a discussion, you need to bring ideas, bring your point of view, so you can bring challenging point as well. I want you to look at this picture. You can see there are some of the students are on a roundtable discussion. Okay, so look at what they do. Okay, so in a good discussion, people must agree and disagree. So from the previous picture, so but each person is allowed to speak their opinion, okay, and add points to the other. So things to avoid for a discussion to be successful, you should avoid one, interruptions. So if you you have to listen carefully, stop interruption, don't come into. So for example, yes or I see, no. Okay? Cutting people off mid-sentences, allow them to continue what they're saying without necessarily cutting them. Then talking over other people. So stick to the purpose, not peripheral issues. Okay? Then breaking off in the middle of discussion, the big group, and going, so throwing tantrums and going, walking out of a discussion, that's not what you should do. You should calm down and stick. Know, because from the beginning I've told you that you have to know the people and the purpose. Okay, now you also have to voice your word, make eye contact as well as body language. So, and ask yourself some thoughtful questions. So be polite. So that's what I will say. Then be positive in every conversation. You need to be positive and it must be balanced. Listen to both sides, not you alone. Don't be selfish here. Okay? So there's some of the quizzes. I want the lesson. Okay? The first question. Which two things do you need to consider when planning to speak to a group of people? So one, speaking and listening, purpose and audience, discussing and responding. So when you want to speak to other people, you have to consider your purpose and audience. That's the right answer. Good. Let's go to the second question here. Okay, how could you prepare for speaking? Copy the ideas of other speakers, learn the whole thing off by heart, or prepare notes and practice. So when you are going to speaking, maybe discussing a particular thing, or face-to-face conversation with your friends, or via the internet, you have to prepare notes and practice. This is for formal work. Okay? Then the third and the last, so always strive. What's the difference between standard English and informal English? I'll explain this one into detail in our next lesson, but I want you always to think about standard English is understood by a wide audience. Use that language that can be understood by a bigger group. Otherwise, we have to end today, but remember that you have the task to speak and listen to other people. So in practice this at home. Stay safe. Have a good time.